Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off lying down. Bring your legs out long and heavy in front of you. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. Take these first few moments to bring focus and awareness to the sensation of your breathing. And then release your arms down to your sides. Start to bend your knees. Push down into your feet and lift your hips up for a bridge pose. And then lower. We're going to take about 20 of these bridge poses, moving a little bit quicker, starting to find a little more activation through your glutes and through your hamstrings. Today's session is going to be more about strengthening and finding mobility. And we'll add in a little bit of stretching as well. And you can keep your eyes closed as you're doing these and just really notice the sensations that you feel coming up through your glutes, your hamstrings. Notice if your knees are bowing away from each other, try to keep your knees tracking over your second toe. Keep pushing down through your feet to lift up. Take that extra squeeze in your glute at the top. A few more here. And then slowly release after your last one. Roll onto the right side of your body. Bring your right forearm down to the ground. Stack your knees one on top of each other. You can bring your top hand to your hip and then push down into your right forearm to lift your hips and open your top knee. We'll do about 16 of these elevated clamshells. So these elevated clamshells is a great way to find mobility through your hip and also a nice amount of strength, also some oblique work happening in the right side. Hips are foundational to all movement, whether that be just walking around, running to the subway, or learning some choreography. Our hips are so important. We want them to be strong, we want them to be mobile. And there are very easy ways that we can do this every day. Find a little more strength and stability through your hips. Switch sides, bring your left forearm down, stack your right knee on top of your left, and then push down into your left forearm, lift your hips and lift your top knee. And again, we'll take about 16 of these. And with range of motion, notice if you're able to get your right knee a little bit higher, a little bit further away from your bottom knee. Notice activation you may be feeling through your left oblique or into your left shoulder. Keep long through the back of your neck. Keep loose through your jaw. Notice if you're tensing up there. Find a few more here. Make sure you're incorporating your breath with your movement. And then last one, come out of it. We're going to move to a tabletop position. All fours tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Engage through your core and start to lift your right knee out to the side and then bring it back down. We're taking 10 of these total. With this exercise, we feel a lot of activation happening in the outer right glute. But on top of that, our stabilizing side, our core, and our left glute are also working like crazy. Try to keep your two shoulders pointed down towards the ground and your right hip. The right hip is going to lift just a little bit, but try to maintain that box straight down towards the mat. After your 10th one, bring your right knee so it comes back behind you, lift the foot, and then lower the knee down. 10 of these. This you may find a little more activation through your lower right glute, and it's just a nice way to find some mobilization into the right hip, especially as you extend the leg back behind you. Kind of mimics walking, but a little more controlled and intentional. And after your 10th one of these, we're going to combine the two movements 10 times. So you'll lift the right leg out to the side, lower down, bring it back behind you, lower down. 10 of these. So I know you're probably feeling this in the right hip, the right glute. Also notice what's happening on your left side with your core through the back of your neck. Continue to breathe, continue to keep your lower back supported. Notice if your range of motion has increased at all. We're definitely warming up through your right hip. Find a few more of these. And then bring yourself back to tabletop position. Once you're in your tabletop position, we'll take a moment to flush that out. Just allow your hips to push from side to side. Just getting a little lengthening into your outer glutes. And we will set up for the opposite side. Here we go. Lift your left leg out to the side and lower it down. 10 times total. Notice right away any differences you may feel from one side to the other with range of motion or with strength. If you start to tire out a little bit quicker on the left side or the right side, just something to notice, something to be aware of. Notice how your right glute may be feeling a little bit fatigued, but it has to stabilize this movement. After 10, start to move the left leg back behind you. Find a nice bit of extension into the left hip. Maintain activation into the lower belly. Lengthen through the back of your neck. Make sure that you continue to breathe here. And then after you've done 10 of these back behind you, we combine the movement. So the leg goes out to the side and then lowers, and then the leg goes back behind you and then lowers. And we take this 10 times. Notice if your range of motion has increased at all. Notice any fatigue you may be feeling through the right side glute. Continue to hold strong through your core to support your lower back. Make sure you're not arching through your lower back. And last ones here, you're almost there. And then after these last ones, you're going to come back down to a tabletop position. Your left knee will come down to the mat. And we'll flush this out once again. Find a nice little opening through the outer hips. Bring your knees and ankles so they come together. Start to shift your hips from side to side. And then send your right hip way over towards your right heel. We're just going to rest there for a moment. So it's a little bit like a child's pose, but the hips are way pushed over to the right. Just allow that opening into your outer right glute. Come through center, and we will switch this so your hips will push way over towards your left ankle. And just breathe into your outer left glute. Take a full breath in, and then make your way back to tabletop. Flip your toes and move to forward fold. A moment to lengthen through your hamstrings. Allow your skull to be super heavy. Take a little wiggle through your jaw, maybe release through your eyebrows. Keep the bend of your knees as you roll yourself up to stand. We're going to start to get a little more active through the legs here. Bring your feet to their hips width distance apart, hands to heart center. Squat your hips down, point your right toes out to the side, and then lift your right knee up. So the right foot comes down, right foot goes out, right foot goes in, and then lift the right knee. And keep this going. We're going to take this around 8 times. So you are going to notice your left glute speaking to you. Especially as you push your left leg straight and stand up, I want you to think of the power of your left glute. And let's talk about your right glute as well, because it's certainly working. Less weight bearing on the right side, but definitely a good amount of mobility happening through your right hip. Keep your breath moving. Also finding a lot of balance moments here. If you notice yourself falling out of it, no big deal. Just come right back into it. And if you need a wall or a piece of furniture to steady your body, feel free to find that. This is an awesome way to find strength, especially in your left glute. After your last one, hold for about 10 seconds with your right knee lifted. Bring your right foot down. Take a moment to shake it out, jog it out, shake through your hands. All right, we do the second side. Bend your knees, send your hips back. Extend your left leg out to the side. Left toes back in, and pull your left knee up to your chest. And we take this about 8 times total. And now every time that you straighten through your right knee, really think of pushing down so much with your right foot. Feel that activation that happens through your right glute. That power, that stability. And then also the core is super involved here, especially coming into this squatting position. The core is involved, the ribs are knitted together. And this is a really great exercise to find strength and stability in your glutes and your pelvis, but also find a bit of range of motion as well with your left leg, with the movement of your left leg. Make sure that you're breathing. After your last one, hold your left knee up about 10 seconds. You're nice and tall through the crown of your head. Bring your left foot down. Take a squat and stand up. Do it again. Squat and stand up. I'm going to do about 10 of these. Can you allow your hips to go a little bit further down? Make sure that your knees are tracking over your toes. Make sure that you maintain that length through your spine, through the back of your neck. And then on this last one, send your hips down, reach your arms up and hold low in your squat. We're gonna be here for a few moments. I know you're feeling it. Try to bring more weight into your heels. Feel your core engage. Lift your hips 1 inch and lower them 1 inch. Lift your hips, lower. So your knees are still bent. We're finding a lot of activation in the glutes and the thighs. Lift 1 inch, lower 1 inch. Lift 1 inch, lower 1 inch. You've got it. Keep that breath moving. Lift and lower. Tiny movements here. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. And then hold. Stay low, find your breath. And then stand up. Take a moment, push your hips forward, little back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees and bring yourself all the way down. Lie on your back once again. Bend your knees, push your feet into the mat, and we take our bridge. Push down with your feet, lift your hips, and then lower. We take about 20 of these, just as we did at the beginning. Notice if you feel different through your glutes, through your hamstrings, and maybe that means you're able to find more of a range of motion here, that the front of your hips have opened just a little bit. But I want you to acknowledge, notice any differences in your body. Stay active through your feet. And just a few more here. Make sure you're using your breath. Do about 3 more of these. Nice and open through the front of the hips. Keep your knees energized over your ankles, over your feet. And on your last one, hold at the top. About 10 seconds. Push down with your feet. Keep your knees tracked over your ankles. And then lower your hips down to the mat. Bring your feet out a little bit wider. And start to knock your knees from side to side. Just a way to release through the lower back. You can take this as quickly or slowly as you want to, but you're just windshield wiping your knees from side to side. Take this a few more times. And then last one, pull your knees up into your chest and rock and roll yourself to an upright, cross-legged sitting position. Bring your hands to rest on your knees, palms pointing down or up. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And we'll take a few moments here. Bring your focus back to your breath. Acknowledge any differences you may feel, maybe physically, maybe mentally. Give yourself a few more moments here. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.